Now we're going to swap the hub bearing to the new rotor. This is our hub bearing. In the back is a seal. This is our ABS pulsing wheel. This is for the anti-lock brake. I'm going to show you how we're going to remove the seal and the rear bearing so we could clean up the inside and pack it with new grease. Our bolts come with a locking washer. Do not forget the locking washer. It is to make sure that the bolt does not come out during vibration. I will also recommend that you put some oil on the threads, preferably some sealer. It will be very wise to use some sealer on the threads because since this is a truck and it will be going into water, water will tend to seep in between the threads. And over time you will have corrosion of these little threads. Once you have corrosion, the ability for the fastener to hold the component to its attachment becomes weaker, and you will start noticing squeaks and rattle on the vehicle. So don't forget, put some oil or sealant on the thread, on any bolt that will become submerged in water. This is our bearing, and this is our seal. We're going to clean them up and place them back into the hub. in there. That's the brake sensor, the ABS sensor. We're also going to want to clean that with a sandpaper a little. Just scuff it up a little. Here you can see we cleaned the rotor up. Also make sure you inspect the race that's in here. Inspect the race of the bearing. Make sure there's no rough surface. Make sure it's absolutely smooth and you cannot feel anything. Then you will know you have a good bearing still. So that's it. We've cleaned it up. We've cleaned up the bearing. Now we're going to assemble back the rotor and put it on the spindle. Don't be afraid to put the grease. The more the better. This is our seal. It's still in good condition. Make sure the spring is still behind the seal. It is very important. Now we're going to replace our locking nut. You will know to replace the nut by looking for this friction surface which will face the bearing. You really don't want to tighten down too much on this nut right here. You just want to tighten it enough so the rotor will spin freely, but you have no back and forth play. So when you pull and push on the rotor, you should have no movement back and forth. But the rotor should still be able to freewheel. Okay, this locking washer is what holds the bearing together. So it's very important that when you put this washer back in, it goes into these little ear on the side here, and you also have your threaded hole lined up for your 2 Phillips screws. So this is very important. Remember, you have to get this nut tightened so the rotor could still rotate, but you don't want any in play. That's the back and forth movement. Now on the back of the clutch has a lug that has to be aligned into the spindle. So make sure these 2 lugs are sitting in the spline. Then we will replace our washer and our locking C-clamp. Make sure your C-clamp is locked in the groove, and grab the rotor and make sure it does not come forward. Don't forget, the more grease, the better. We've also cleaned up the inside and put new grease in there. You also have an O-ring on the cover. Make sure the O-ring is in good place. Now the cup might be a little hard to install. That's because of all the grease. It's preventing us from really sliding the cup onto the hub.